JBN, we keep you informed. Man shot and killed in Bog Walk. 22-year-old Yashon Isaacs from Vietnam District in Bog Walk was shot and killed on Swamp Lane in the parish on Sunday, August 2. Reports from the Spanish Town Police are that about 4:25 p.m., citizens heard explosions and summoned them. Upon their arrival, Isaacs was seen lying along the roadway with gunshot wounds. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Investigations are continuing. The murder is at least the third reported in just over a month in the Bog Walk area. On July 8, gunmen shot and killed 58-year-old Ian Ivey from Pineapple District in Bog Walk while he was standing at a shop on Main Street, also in Bog Walk. On July 6, criminals shot and killed 26-year-old electrician Nazir Samai while he was at a shop in his community of Magazine Lane, Bog Walk. Holness commends security forces' action against gunmen. Prime Minister Andrew Holness yesterday acknowledged the bravery and perseverance of the security forces in recently tracking down and dealing with a number of notorious criminals within the law. We must commend them, and we must ensure that the criminals understand that the government, meaning the administration and the opposition, are at one in dealing with these criminals, and that we are at one with dealing with them within the law, Holness told the National Consensus on Crime, hosted by the Private Sector's Crime Monitoring and Oversight Committee. Holness was referring to operations by the Jamaica Defence Force JDF and the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF over the past 2 weeks, which have resulted in the deaths of 7 people involved in shootouts with the security forces in St. James and Clarendon, including several who were wanted for murder. I believe that you're seeing unfolding in front of you, the citizens of the country, your security forces, beginning to display what you have always wanted them to display: respect for law, themselves being officers of the law, acting on intelligence, acting strategically, and even if you don't get success right away, you act with perseverance and patience, and eventually you'll start to yield results, the Prime Minister said. And so I want to commend the security forces for consistently continuing to act strategically and continue to act on intelligence and to be persistent and persevere against the criminals who have held our communities in the clutches of fear for far too long, he added. Court ruling had nothing to do with Rastafarianism. The Supreme Court has stated that its ruling on Friday in the controversial case of a Kensington primary school student had nothing to do with Rastafarianism and religious freedom of expression. The young girl's parents were asked in 2018 to cut her hair or remove her dreadlocks in order for her to attend the institution. The court said children have long been allowed to wear locks to school as a religious expression of their and their parents' faith, but noted that in this case, the hairstyle was a decision taken at home. The complainant's attorney has argued that the parents were not obligated to disclose their religious preference to the school and that acceptance of the child's variance from the policies posed by the school was a matter of self-expression based on a decision taken in their home, which should be honored and accepted without any question, it said. The court, in a 60-page document, indicated that it cannot be right for each individual to vary the rules of engagement with organizations simply because the right exists to participate and avail ourselves of the benefit of publicly funded institutions without proper reasons or justification. This may potentially mean that a student or their parent could wake up tomorrow and identify as whatever animal or inanimate object or personality they wish or identify themselves with any belief and come to school expressed that way in pursuance of their right of freedom of expression and a decision taken in the home, hey, I was implying. It concluded that the first complainant, the child's father, had no legal standing to bring a legal action against the school and that the constitutional rights of second complainant, the child, represented by her mother, have not been breached. September 15 sentencing for St. James Constable and civilian convicted of corruption. September 15 sentencing for St. James Constable and civilian convicted of corruption. Police Constable Dwayne Wright and the civilian Damian Tummings are to be sentenced on September 15 after being found guilty of corruption. They were found guilty of breaches of the Corruption Prevention Act in the St. James Parish Court last week, Thursday. The court was told that on April 25, 2013, A motor car being used as a robot taxi was seized by the police for breaches of the Road Traffic Act. Wright thereafter conspired with Cummings, a former employee of a wrecking company, to have the car released on a lesser charge. Wright then issued a ticket on May 1 to an unrelated member of the public to facilitate and collect a sum of money from the registered owner of the seized motor vehicle. However, when the vehicle was not released, a report was made to the police and an investigation launched. Both men were subsequently arrested and charged. No KPH lawsuit, says Cluness's family. The relatives of Superintendent Leon Cluness, the leader of the ill-fated Horizon Park police operation in St. Catherine that saw him and 2 other cops murdered, are lauding staff at the Spanish Town and Kingston public hospitals, where Cluness was treated for gunshot wounds before he died. The commendations follow speculation that the medical staff at the often vilified Kingston Public Hospital KPH may have fallen off in their treatment of the cop, resulting in his death. Last Wednesday, however, Cluness's sister Janice rubbished such claims, as she also dismissed suggestions that the family was seeking legal counsel to take action against the government facility. Instead, Janice said she was most gracious to the dedicated staff who worked exceedingly hard. I have heard rumors, but I can't categorically say that they are not true. We're at the hospital almost every day. We ask about his medication. We saw his medication. There was a family member there every day, and they treated him well, said Janice, speaking of the days following her brother's transfer from the Spanish Town Hospital to KPH. As a matter of fact, I asked him if he wanted to go to a different hospital, and his words were, "I am extremely comfortable. They treat me like a king in here. I don't want to move and go anywhere else. I am fine," she said. A lot of the nurses and the doctors down there, they were very kind. They accommodated us all the time, and some were like family to us, she continued. When he died, I was saying to them, this was supposed to be Spanish Town and KPH's success story, but obviously it was not to be, she said, adding that some staff members wept openly when Cluness passed away, as they were in the process of discharging him from the KPH. Cluness was among 4 cops shot in a June 12 pre-dawn operation to capture an armed criminal in Horizon Park, St. Catherine. Corporal Dane Biggs and Constable Ricardo Hilton also lost their lives. The triggerman, 39-year-old Damian Hamilton, was cut down hours later in another police operation in Corville Garden, St. Andrew, in which 2 other officers were injured. During his more than 2 weeks in hospital, Cluness was a jovial figure, especially in the latter days. He was happy, cheerful, and had reconnected with God, Janice said. A bullet reportedly flew past his head, grazing him on his face, she recalled. But even with a scar, Cluness found humor. He had a scar on his face, and he showed it to me and told me that it was his new dimple. He was up and he was talking about a lot of things. He was actually a child of God before, and he renewed his faith in church during that week. He was talking about the grace of God and how lucky we are as a family. He was also talking with his friends. Those guys were really part of our family, she said, in reference to Hilton and Biggs, who died on the day of the failed operation. Hilton and Biggs were buried last month, but Cluness's funeral is slated for Saturday, August 8. For us, we really lost 3 men, and it has been really difficult for us, said Janice, adding that the family has been receiving tremendous support from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, and other state agencies as they grieve. He actually told us days before he died to stop crying. I am fine. My soul is good, Janice said. So it is difficult, but we are comforted because we know that he is fine. She said that everyone, including hospital staff, believed that her brother would have recovered from his injuries. We do understand that after this kind of surgery, it is even amazing that he lived at all, she said. Janice offered thanks on behalf of the family for the dozens of individuals who donated blood to her brother. Chairman of the Southeast Regional Health Authority, Wentworth Charles, said that despite the sad ending, Cluness's story will forever resonate among staff at the facility and is but one of those stories that will continue to help lift staff morale in the KPH's most challenging times. The staff was very distraught because Mr. Cluness, in their view, had recovered beyond the seriousness under which he was admitted into the hospital. He had recovered to a point where they felt satisfied and he was speaking with them, shared Charles. He was jovial and was sharing a lot of his joys with them. He also had a number of visitors. Charles noted that he and other members of the executive were on hand to welcome Clunis at KPH after his transfer from the Spanish Town Hospital. So when the staff learned that he succumbed to his injuries on the eve of his departure, they were very distraught. Some even cried because Mr. Clunis is a police officer who was well respected for his hard work, and it was not only Mr. Clunis who lost his life, but the other policemen as well, Charles added. I spoke to the family on a few occasions and I informed the View from his wife that she was satisfied with the care and the protection security arrangement that was provided by the hospital. Repeatedly, she commended the doctors, the nurses, the porters, and all auxiliary staff. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.